Welcome back to lesson 3 of auditing. This video begins on page 25, chapter 5 in your textbook. The lesson opens with a flow chart that outlines the 5 stages of preparation for the audit report. Here we look at stage 2, which is planning. Audit planning covers 9 topics as listed here in the lesson. A, discussions with management. B, the audit plan meeting. C, obtaining understanding of the client's business and industry. D, planning analytical procedures. E, preliminary judgments on materiality. F, assessing audit risk. G, other planning procedures. H, preparing the audit strategy. And finally, I, supervising the assistant auditors. The chapter concludes with 2 pages of questions or answers, as the case may be, on pages 35 and 36. So we've outlined your material for you. Let's take a little closer look at the contents. The chapter in Part A, the Audit Committee meets with the Board of Directors to discuss the nature of the service to be rendered, including the type of service, the scope, and the timing. When does it begin? When does it end? So forth. You'll find in here the definitions of both Audit Committee and timing. It's important that you memorize those. Part B then turns to topics that are discussed by the audit team prior to beginning the actual audit. Issues discussed include staffing requirements, possibly an IT specialist if needed, setting up auditing hours budget, and guidance of the staff or guidance for the staff regarding technical issues and personnel issues, as well as location or locations of various sub-meetings. We move on to Part C, which begins the process of gathering information, including economic conditions that affect the industry, current business developments that do the same, various working papers, including the prior audit file, very important, and the interim financial reports. A lot of other material is included. It's all listed here. At this stage, the audit team is assembling the overview of the business rather than actually testing the material involved. We turn to Part D, and the team here analyzes the records gathered to begin planning the various tests to be performed with the data. Ratio analysis and trend analysis are performed at this time. If you don't know what those are, we will discuss them in class. Plausibility analysis is also done at this time, and plausibility analysis is defined here for you in this section. In Part E, the auditors consider materiality, which means the magnitude of an omission or misstatement. This part of the work requires extensive experience, good judgment, and is closely supervised or even led exclusively by the team leader. Misstatements are of 2 kinds: known misstatements and likely misstatements. At this stage, the standards of materiality are established. However, as testing proceeds during the audit, these standards can be subject to revision. A discussion of these issues is fairly extensive, and you should read and reread it carefully because it covers all of page 28 and 29. Part F then deals with audit risk. Here you will find the definition of the types of risk. These include inherent risk, abbreviated IR, control risk, abbreviated CR, and detection risk, abbreviated DR. These abbreviations are used throughout the text, so you want to make sure you commit them to memory. This section also summarizes the differences among the 3 types of risk. Page 31 gives a chart of the risk types and various factors that are inherent in each of these risks or lead one to suspect that the risk exists, even if it's not known. Part G is a catch-all category for additional planning procedures. There are 7 topics. Be sure to read them all. Part H covers the items to be included in the formal audit strategy. Page 33 lists and defines important terminology regarding testing and reporting the auditor's findings. Part I, finally, concludes the list of terms of proper supervision of assistant auditors. You will also find here the proper procedures when differences of opinion arise, particularly for the junior auditors. How should they record these differences of opinion? Differences will arise. They're not necessarily personal conflict. In fact, they very seldom are with auditors. There matters more that to be settled by principle. The final 2 pages of questions give examples of issues that can arise during the planning phase and how one handles them. Read and reflect on these. Some will appear as discussion questions for the chapter. Don't forget to keep up on your tests. We're going back to the 1-week deadline. So as we begin chapter 3, the quiz is due on or before next Thursday of next week, midnight. Hope you're proceeding comfortably. Be sure to bring your questions to class, and we will attempt to answer them all there. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.